Hello, I'm Paul Smith, your host. In this week's episode, we will discuss the case of Matt Novak Jr., who was fatally shot while looking for assistance after his car broke down shortly after attending the Puerto Rican Day Parade in 2008. Welcome to Unsolved Philadelphia.
Matt was he was a very dynamic person. Loved life, loved to enjoy himself. Was starting to really hit the prime of his life. It started off at an early age with Matthew, where he was always had a big smile, and always loved to hug and kiss family. And that continued straight out until his murder in 2008. We always used to comment amongst the family how Matthew would give his patented bear hugs, where he'd wrap his arms around you and basically smother the heck out of you, because he was a strong young man.
And Matt was a great kid, very smart, very outgoing. Big Matt always says he uses bear hugs. And he was getting bigger than me and was working out all the time, and he'd crush your head to death, and it was it's pretty neat. And he was a real good kid.
From the time he was little, him and I going fishing, crabbing, we would always enjoy ourselves. We'd go up to Cape Cod as a family, up to Massachusetts, and once he was probably about 7 years old. Matter of fact, I got the picture over there. And we're up in Cape Cod, and we discovered a bridge up in Cape Cod where you didn't need nets or anything, or even bait. The crabs were rolling across the surface, right below the surface. So him and I ran out and bought long nets. We were just sitting there all day scooping them. So he wanted to get closer to the bank, get off of the bridge, little bridge, closer to the bank, but his feet would have gotten all muddy. So of course him and I ran out, and we got him boots. So we got him boots. And he decides to go along the bank, and him and I were walking out there, and he physically got stuck in the mud with this net in his hand, still trying to scoop crabs as they're going by, pulling himself out, and his feet came out, and the two boots were still stuck in the mud. One of the funniest things I remember as a young boy.
A story I always remember, years ago when I had my driver's license, I had to back up, I've always been in electronics, just like Big Matt and Little Matt later, and it's a big part of my life now. And I had the VW Bug was my first car I had, and I had 1,000 speakers in this thing, and it was ridiculous for the time. Before everybody had big speakers in their cars, I was like one of the first guys to have a ridiculous system in my car. So I had these speakers in my trunk that I used to pop out and put on the roof of the car during my buddies and I were playing baseball or softball, and that was the entertainment while we were playing ball. After a while, I sold the car, and I had these speakers laying around, and I gave him a Little Matt at the time, lived nearby, and he was all excited with these speakers and stuff, so I gave them to him. He's a little kid. He's probably 9, 10 years old. And so next time over the house for a family event, he's all excited, waiting for me to come over. He's like, "Chuck, come in my room," and he's taking through his whole room, how he wired these speakers up, and I just got flashbacks of me growing up and watching Big Matt. I was a little kid, and he was a teenager, wiring up the speakers in his bedroom stuff, and it was like the third generation of doing the crazy stuff we used to do and all, and it's neat to watch, and that story always stuck in my mind. It's pretty neat.
But he was a really gifted football player. And he played baseball and basketball, everything, but he was a good football player. And from the time he was a little boy, all in that realm, him and I have Eagles season tickets, Philadelphia Eagles season tickets, and we would faithfully every Sunday go, faithfully. I mean, talk about the Eagles Cowboys games, you got to be kidding me. I mean, he had special shirts made up, which I really can't say what was on them, Cowboys related. And him and I used to wear the shirts together to go to the games, so it was really cool. And unfortunately, since then, I can't say I go to a lot of Eagles games anymore because, I take my family members here and there. And it's not like it used to be, to tell you the truth.
Matthew was like a gentle giant to me. I was sick for a while in my life, and he had to do all the errands. And I'll never forget the time we had to have Thanksgiving here. We usually go all together to another family, a member of someone else's family, and celebrate. But he went out and did everything. He bought everything for a Thanksgiving meal. Cooked it also here. And when we were at the funeral, we began hearing stories about Matt that we never knew, telling us what a kind soul, like if someone was sick, that he would make soup and bring it over to them. And just a lot of stories about him. And his love for life, especially the autumn, the season autumn, he loved. He'd go, isn't this a great weather to have? He loved going to the gym, working out, and he'd take his girlfriend occasionally. They'd both go over. And then came Christmas. Christmas was another favorite in his life, so it's very hard for us. He was up on the roof here decorating the lights and everything and putting the Star of David at the top of the house. He showed a lot of love. He really did. And whenever we needed him, he was there for us. And I'll never forget that.
There's so many things to tell. He was full of life and just a lot of fun to be around. Even though there's a really big age gap between me and Matt, as he was getting older and I got married and I had children, it was nice to see him with my children and feel a genuine happiness, and to see someone smile at their niece just pushing my daughter Mia on the swings and blowing bubbles, and her belly laughing made him belly laugh. And just those little times that means so much in life, and you can't get it back once it's taken from you.
I want you to take us back to September the 28th, 2008, and what transpired.
Well, it actually started the night before. I knew Matt and his two friends were going to go over to Philadelphia to the Puerto Rican Day Parade. Matt had a habit of doing that. It's a fun time, a lot of activity over there. I mean, you're from Philadelphia, so I'm sure you know what the city's like during those parades, and it's a fun time. Him and his two friends stayed overnight the night before. They crashed here, and they woke up early. They were planning on heading out, and I made all of them breakfast, before they get something in their stomach. And there's a lot of activity here in the morning, and just trying to get them guys out. And I guess they left about 11:30 or noon time. And I'll never forget after a couple hugs and say goodbye to the other two guys, because I'd known them from the time they were little kids. I never forget the last thing that I said to Matthew walking out the door, to all three of them actually. I said, watch each other's back. The last thing I said to him. And it was just what guys say, I guess what father would say to his son. I'll never forget, watch each other's back. So they were over in Philadelphia. You know, I didn't hear from them all day. The guys are here doing their thing, and I guess somewhere I'd say somewhere like 8:45 that evening. Remember vividly, I'm sitting right in my chair in the corner, and it was actually the Eagles were playing the Chicago Bears in Chicago. Of course, Donovan McNabb was the quarterback at the time, and that was a big thing. And around 8:45 that night, I remember getting a phone call, the Philadelphia police calling me. Worst call that anybody could get, that, you know, your son has been shot, and to get to Hahnemann Hospital immediately.
I was over at some friend's house in Deptford watching the Eagles game, and my cell phone rang as my mother called me, and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And she was crying hysterically. I just said, "Little Matt is dead," and of course I was in complete shock and trying to get information out of her. She was crying, saying he was shot in Philadelphia. She didn't have any other details. So I was pretty much in shock, like I said, and I left my friend's house and drove to my parents' house and sat with them, just you know, discussing what we knew, which was very little at the time.
I got dressed real fast, grabbed my wife. She was already in bed. You know, that was quite a way to wake up to some news like that. And we ran over, and we waited in the waiting room for quite a while. We're getting no information from the hospital. I don't think they want to give out the info. We knew he was still alive, and I guess it was around about 10:15 that night. He actually passed at 9:45 p.m. And about 10:15, I guess that's when the surgeon came down and gave us the news. It was myself, my wife, and the two boys were in the waiting room. And at first, I looked at him in disbelief. My wife and I just looked at each other, and you know, it was almost like somebody's joking here. No emotion, nothing. And I guess it was probably a good 3-4 minutes later, it actually sunk in, and it's not the kind of thing you want to have sink in. You know, I started to violently vomit, and my wife was beside herself. The two boys started crying like children, and just horrible, horrible news.
So next morning I woke up and drove here to my aunt and uncle's house and met with them. Got a little more information about what they know at the time took place the day after, what they experienced that night, and then they asked me to drive them over to the ME's office to identify Matt and do all the paperwork. And so at the time, I was in shock. At the same time, I guess my job kind of kicked in more than my emotions. So I was thinking more like a cop, and I've dealt with tragedy and horror and helping people out during bad times a million times between being a cop and also a volunteer firefighter for 18 years. Never thought I had my own family. And so we drove over to the city, and it was myself, Big Matt, Sue, and Sue's sister, Mary Ann, Matt's aunt. We met with some people, and they asked, there was a photo they wanted to show us, do a positive identification. So Mary Ann and myself took care of the identification. And that photo stick in my mind the rest of my life. It was tough. At the time, I was seeing your own cousin in a picture dead. That's when everything's sunk in, that this isn't just another day on the job or something like that. It was family. My cousin, my godson. So from there on out, I was dead set to catch the cowards and kill them. Anything I could do and whatever I could do to catch these guys.
Something no parent should ever have to go through. It's the worst thing that you can imagine could happen to you, especially when you're as close as we were and the tight family that we have. It was a horrific event, and it's an event, unfortunately, that's etched in my brain, and I probably think of 3 or 4 times a day. And after that, the hardest part is when the doctors had us come up and see him, and just seeing your lifeless child. laying there, and nothing you can do about it. It's over. And that image of his face is etched, and it's always going to be etched. Unfortunately, that's how I'm going to remember my son, is that image and, you know, his funeral, you know, laying in a box.
Where does the case stand right now?
The case right now stands just 3 years and 4 or 5 months, as much as it did when it first happened. We, the day of Matt's funeral, received a phone call that the city of Philadelphia had cameras installed in the area. They were working and recording on the streets. Remember at the time there was a lot of controversy in the news about the money they spent on these cameras, and they weren't up and running in a timely period. A lot weren't working at all. And they had some video of a car, the suspect car. At the time we just heard was an Impala, possibly black, that Matt got into and had the suspects in the car that drove around the corner and later shot him. So it looked very hopeful, positive, like, oh, this is great, you got the vehicle. And then they said it possibly had Jersey tags on it. Even early on, I believe little Matt told the police that it was a black Impala with New Jersey tags. Detective Peters, who's the investigating homicide detective, told me before we knew of the video, he's like, yeah, he was in and out of consciousness. I don't know how he would know that. He was probably, you know, saying things or whatever. It's not real solid. I'll come to find out this car has New Jersey tags on it, and it's a blue Impala. It's either electric blue or the darker Imperial blue. It's been a great point of controversy because it was a rainy day. It was getting darker out. The car looks purplish in the video. My personal opinion, I believe it's electric blue. Some other people think it's Imperial, but we have forensic people working on that now. So anyway, we thought maybe it was a robbery. At first, they couldn't locate Matt's personal belongings. Yeah, I believe he had a belt buckle, his wallet, which has license in there, and maybe some money, keys for his car. Thought maybe it was a robbery. These guys took his belongings and then maybe shot him afterwards. Ends up at Hammond Hospital, just misplaced the items, and they were located a few months later, so it blew the whole robbery thing out of the water as a positive reason why they shot him. But 3 years later, it's still a mystery why he was even shot. We don't know what happened between 6th Street and 13th Street. It's a big mystery. At this point right now, the investigation, we're keeping it alive. We're not letting it get cold. It's getting old, but it's not getting cold. And working with folks like you and other media outlets and Philadelphia Police Department and anybody we can, we'll get our faces and names and Matt's information out there in the world, and we're going to keep it alive. And our biggest part of keeping it alive is to keep it alive every day has been social media. Social media, we started with simply using MySpace. At the time, it was very popular still before Facebook really took off. And started a website and just started inviting people to join the Who Killed Matt Novak page. And it took off. People were eating it up. By the time I started at the 1 year anniversary when we first posted our first reward, which was $5,000, and shortly later it was $6,000. I started putting out there, and I think between September 2009 and around the time we had our family picnic and fundraiser in August of 2010.
Hey everybody, Matt Novak here, Matt Novak Sr. We're out here today at Tall Pines Picnic Area in Williamstown, New Jersey. All of my friends, my family, we all got together. We're having a nice reward fundraiser for my son Matthew. As you can see, it's 215-546-8477, call the Crime Commission. If anybody knows anything that can lead to the arrest of the 3 people that murdered my son, please call the Citizens Crime Commission. Once again, it's 215-546-8477. And God bless, and please come forward. Thank you.
Since then, we now have our main website, which is whokilledmattnovak.com. We have a Facebook page and a YouTube page. Facebook, we keep everybody updated what's happening and what's going on. YouTube has all the videos from everything we've done in the past, past press and news media, videos of the suspect in power, everything we can get on there and keep it alive and fresh in the public's eye. We're putting it on online. And MySpace is still there too, but mostly shows the videos from YouTube. And if you just go into any type of search engine on the internet and search who killed Matt Novak, you'll find hundreds of results and all the stories and all the information about this entire nightmare that's happened to us and our family and to Matthew.
Why do you think Matt got in that car? What you know, he didn't know the guys, and you know, it's not the best neighborhoods in the, you know, you're in Philly and strange, but what, you personally, why do you think Matt got in that car?
Matt was a tough kid. I don't think he's afraid of anybody. Or he wasn't. He was broke down. He was trying to get his friend's car fixed. I believe these guys drove by once. I don't know if you saw them the first time they drove past them, but when they circled the block, pull up a second time, they were obviously slowed down because you can see in the video. Matt threw his arms in the air like, hey, give us a hand. Probably walked over and talked to the guys. They're probably cool. Little conversation, you know. Guys like, yeah, come on, no problem, I'll give you a ride. And probably thought he made a new friend, and a couple of boys from the neighborhood give him a hand or whatever he thought. But he walked back to his friends and said, hey, we'll be right back, get some jumper cables, like, no big deal. So I just believe he wasn't afraid. He wasn't afraid, and maybe just being a young 24-year-old kid at the time, really wasn't using his head. I mean, I'm 40 years old, and I wouldn't get in a car with any other stranger, you know, cop or not, you know, and just try and get him and his boys home. And like I said, who knows what took place between 6th and 13th at Fairmount. It's still a mystery other than him getting shot at 13th at Fairmount.
Now, anybody watching that may know some information, what would you have to say to those guys?
Anybody that has any information about this crime, the suffering that it has caused myself, my wife, Matt's sister, all his aunts, uncles, his friends, is so deep rooted. You just can't believe how it snowballs. That cowardly moment that those three guys took when they shot him snuffed out a life with potential like it's nobody's business. A family member, someone that you love, my child. If you have children, just take a moment and imagine your child being gone. There's a $21,000 reward, and the reward is going up very soon. Again, we have the fundraisers and people still donating money, believe it or not. People I don't even know have sent me checks just because they are good-hearted people and they couldn't imagine this happening to themselves.
These guys aren't worth you holding their secret for them. They're cowards, they're murderers, and it was all done for nothing. This has been an absolute nightmare on our family. It could happen to your family from the same guys. I'm sure they probably have done bad things or horrendous things to other people also between 2008 and now. But if you know something, please call a tip line. 215-546-TIPS.
Do the right thing. Do what you, like everyone else said, do what you would want someone to do for your brother, your nephew, your son. No one would know who you are if you were to call. Just do the right thing.
Well, first of all, someday I am going to see him again. I'm a firm believer that you know, there's an afterlife. You know, I believe in God. Matthew was a firm believer in God, and I know Matthew is up there with him now. So I am going to see him again. Unfortunately, not on this earth. But if I were to see him right now, I don't think there'd be a lot said. I would hug him until his head turned blue, to tell you the truth. And if he was around long enough, I'd see if he wanted to go to an Eagles game with me, like the old days. But that would probably be the happiest day of my life. And frankly, if if I could swap places with him right now, I would. If I could talk to God and say, take me, bring him back, get a whole life going, you know, I would do that.
There'll be two answers for this. One's the family and one's the cop. I'll go to the cop one first to get out of the way. What the hell are you thinking? I'll probably punch him in the mouth, maybe, get a little frustration out. You know, you knucklehead, what the hell were you thinking? You know? Family side, I'd just be glad if he was here now, which we're going to see him again someday, there's no doubt about that. We'll see him in a better place, take care of business then, but if he were to magically appear here someday, somehow now, just give him a big bear hug back and just enjoy the time you have with him.
I would just hug him. I would hug him, and I wouldn't want to let go. I would reintroduce him to my two babies who are now getting so big so fast, and say, this is your Uncle Matt. This is who we speak about all the time. These are all these special pictures that we have around. This is him. And we would pick up right where we left off, and he would probably grab my son and get a football and go outside and pick up exactly where, well, Nicholas was only a few months when Matt was taken from us, but he would just pick up where we left off.
Where have you been? Where have you been all this time? You know, we miss you so much. And give him one of his great big bear hugs that he always was giving everybody else.
And just little things that were taken away in just a blink of an eye, and it's just undescribable the way I feel. He's just missed so much.
On September 28, 2008, 24-year-old Matt Novak Jr. and two friends were leaving the Puerto Rican Day Parade in Philadelphia when they decided to pull over at 6th and Green to talk. When they decided to leave, their yellow neon would not start. They began to flag down passerbys to see if they could get a jump. After passing the guys once already, a blue 2006 to 2008 Chevy Impala with New Jersey tags pulled over. Matt approached the vehicle and was told by the occupants that they would take him to get some jumper cables. Matt agreed to leave with them and got in the car, leaving his two friends to wait for his return. Unfortunately, that never happened. Witnesses say Matt was attempting to get out of the Impala at 13th and Fairmount when he was fatally shot. A bystander called the police, who came within minutes and rushed Matt to an area hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. Witnesses say the 2006 to 2008 blue Impala was driven by 2 to 3 black males. Surveillance cameras in the area were able to get video of the vehicle, but not a very good picture of the tags. As of today, this case remains unsolved. If you have any information regarding these cases, please call the tip line at 215-686-TIPS. Again, that is 215-686-TIPS. Or you can email us at unsolvedphilly@yahoo.com. It's totally anonymous, and we'll make sure the information is given to the proper authorities.
You see me in a frame, hanging up inside your heart. Is truly a gallery of art. So take me down, put me away, look to me another day, 'cause right now I cannot hang with you. But please don't worry about tomorrow, it's gonna rid you of your sorrow. But what if tomorrow was If tomorrow was today, if tomorrow was today, long winding roads, nowhere to go. If you look within your soul, you'll find a way back to me, me. And if you should